recorded this. Okay. So I want to welcome everyone to a special meeting of the Greenway Committee. This is an informational meeting. I apologize to everyone. I did make a slideshow, nothing exotic, but this system does not have PowerPoint on it, and I can't find a way to bring it up. So we'll just talk through them. Basically, the members of our current Greenway Committee, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go around the room, introduce ourselves, and then we'll go online and have Jeff and Susan introduce themselves too. So Carolyn, why don't you start?
Hi, I'm Carolyn Greenwald. I've lived in the village since 2007, and for the last decade, I've been involved with the local government. I started on the planning board. Now I'm on the board of trustees. I joined the Greenway Committee maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
And I also recently started working on, I joined the Town of Lansing Trails Committee, which is tangentially related to the Greenway work. So we'll talk a little bit about that.
Right.
And your deputy mayor.
Oh, I'm the deputy mayor.
Jacob Von Mecco. I'm a landscape architect. I live in the village of Lansing. We bought a house, let's see, 2021 in the winter, and we've been fixing it up and planning to stick around. So.
In 2000, who knows?
Yeah, it was mid-pandemic, so everything's fuzzy.
Right.
Yeah, we're planning to stick around, so thought we would start to get involved in community engagement and municipal management.
How do you spell your name, Jeff?
Von Mecco, that's VONMECHOW.
Sarah?
Yes. Hi, I'm Sarah Mora Shields. My husband and I moved to Lansing in 2022, September 2022. So we've been fixing up our house and fixing up a lot of things on the property. Yeah, we're planning, this is our forever home, essentially. He's a professor at Cornell. So I was just looking to get more involved in the village, and I'm very into native plants and like stream flow, water flow modeling, things like that.
Making Lynn drool.
Yes. So yeah, I was a data scientist for many years, and one of the many things that I modeled were storms and stream flow and things like that. So I've been looking around and going, okay, there's some stuff, and I'd like to, just get involved and see where everyone's at and what we can do and prepare for the future.
Thank you. Lynn?
Lynn Leopold. My husband and I moved to the village in 1982, built a house and moved in and got involved before we had time to even breathe. The community party was at our door, yanked us in, and we've been, both of us, involved ever since. My husband was on the planning board, was chair for several years. I was a trustee for about 13 years, and I'm now chair of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I've been on the Greenway Committee and Comprehensive Planning Committee, and I can't seem to get out of any of them. Not that I want to.
You're a valuable contributor.
Well, I'm glad to have new people in the village who are interested in what is actually a village. I know it doesn't feel like it a lot of the time. We don't seem to have a central green square with a little village hall in the middle of it. We're in a pretty much a commercial area with a lot of housing around it. So we've been trying for years to make it feel more like a village. And I'm happy to keep working on, especially this idea of linking trails between the two municipalities. That's one way of building good neighbors,
Right.
My name's Larry Beery. I live down in Oak Crest. My wife and I moved here when she got a job at Cornell in 1996. And we bought the old Brown house, the Brown farmhouse with this. You're all in our old military plot. We used to own all this. Amos Brown did anyway.
Yeah. And then Nancy Bent had it.
And then Nancy Bent had it, and one of the foundation members of the party or the village. And my wife is retiring from Cornell this winter, so Yeah, finally. And I'm on the Greenway committee for now a few years, and a number of years, and last year I started running the community party elections, which was a steep learning curve. And I'm interested in the parks, and it's interesting to see them develop. And we're trying to get, as Lynn said, people recognize that we actually live in the village. So I made a point of, again, in the slides, putting in Village of Lansing Municipal Parks, and
Right.
drilling it into people that this park, this is a municipal park. It's not, the town didn't build this for you. The neighbors built it for you. And I try to upkeep the map, which I have to upgrade now with all of the new sidewalks.
I did put in the Dart Drive sidewalk, but I haven't done the Graham Road West sidewalks yet. So it is there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Must be nice to walk it finally as a resident of Dartmouth.
It's busy. It's a busy
Yeah.
sidewalk. Well, let's go online. I'll go last. Jeff?
Hi, I'm Jeff Scott. I'm a professor at Cornell. We've lived here for, I don't know, around 20 years or so. I've always been happy by the way the greenways were laid out to actually give some nature strips through the neighborhoods. I thought that was very progressive thinking. I also like the way they had holding ponds built in when they were doing all the construction. I'm up on Isle Way, so in the village, Lansing Trails, and that holding pond caught so much of the topsoil from all of the development up here, then saved it from going into the lake. So I thought whoever came up with that requirement deserves 5 stars.
Well, you can thank the DEC for requiring those stormwater management structures. But we have to do it, and it's a good thing.
Susan?
I'm Susan Piliero. I haven't been on the Greenway Committee, but I am interested in what is happening. I live a couple of doors down to from Caroline, as a matter of fact, and we moved to the village in 1988. So I guess I'm one of the older residents of the village. And I'm a citizen observer for the village of Lansing.
Okay, thank you. I am Ronnie Hardaway, mayor of the village. I've been mayor for almost 4 years.
Wow.
Trustee 6 years before that. So I was actually on the original recent Greenway Committee kickoff when we were back in 2015, when we were getting ready to update our 1994 Greenway plan. So I've been chairing the Greenway Committee since that time. I think I almost, and I think possibly convinced Carolyn to take over the chairmanship or chairpersonship for this next year, and I will still participate, of course. So thank you, everyone, for the introductions. I imagine now you're watching a slideshow.
Before we get to the content of the slideshow, I just wanted to touch base with all of the newcomers. Does everybody understand what we were talking about when we said the town of Lansing versus the village of Lansing, the community party? What that is?
I do not know what
Okay.
that is.
Read that book.
It's confusing, so both those things are confusing. The relationship between the town and the village is not known to everybody, nor is what the community party is. I could summarize it, or maybe Lynn, you can do better.
Go ahead.
So typically, the government of the village is, most often, the officials or the positions are filled not by Democrats or Republicans, but by a party that is unique to the village called the community party. And anybody can join the community party who wishes to, regardless of your other political affiliations. And then you come to the village and serve the interests of the government. Why it formed like that, well, there's a book that I can explain it to you. But it has been running pretty effectively since it was formed. And I will say, just as somebody who works in the village government, one of the things I like best about the village is that I think it's a very cooperative place. And almost everybody has within a degree, a reasonable degree, everyone has sort of the same goals in mind of what they want the village to be. And it's in accordance with the community party, I find that it becomes a workable place where things get done in a timely and effective manner. And I think a lot of that is because of the fact that it's run by this community party.
It is an apolitical party.
Yeah.
It's basically just, we find the best candidates and the people who are willing to work with everyone else and just get the job done, as Carolyn said.
Okay, slideshow, please.
Okay. I apologize for the slideshow. I will send the slideshow to everyone who participates tonight, so you will have it. So I will be going from memory. We've already done the intros,
Oh, you want to just see it? I could just bring it up on my phone.
Yeah, how do you get it on the phone? I've got it all laid up.
Okay.
I was thinking we could print it, but
No, I apologize.
complicated.
I came in early even and started trying to download PowerPoint, but it's Microsoft typical Office product is,
But they don't send
it takes a moment, but the moment is about 6 hours long. So anyway,
You can look at it as you go. if you
Okay.
want.
Can you see the whole thing? Mine is all stacked up.
thanks. Thanks. No, this is good enough. It'll just remind me where I need to be. There's no massive details in this, so don't worry about it. But basically, as I said, in 2015, the village decided to update its 1994 Greenway plan. So we put together a committee, and at approximately the same time, we were creating a comprehensive plan for the village. So the comprehensive plan and the Greenway plan, which turned out to be the 2015 version, were kind of being worked in parallel. And that cycle took a little bit longer than expected, just because for that reason, because we're trying to balance anything that came from the comprehensive plan and the Greenway plan. Greenway plan would go into the comprehensive plan. And since that time, the Greenway Committee has done another, we've released a 2018 version. We started in 2015. So in 2018, we released the update to the 94 plan. And then in 2022, we did another minor update of the plan, just to include some new parks we'd put in, new walkways, some reference to our tree conservation law that the village had just recently passed. And so basically the Greenway plan is, I'll just read this. It guides the development and use of Village of Lansing municipal parks, natural habitats, and recreation systems consisting of parkways, walkways, parkland, and designated green or open space areas. It provides basically what the committee does is we update the document and make that and offer that to the trustees as a recommendation for the update. They review it and then let us know if there are things they want to change or add or remove. And then finally, once all of that is done, they approve the plan for release. So probably in the next year or so, we will have another update. I would think since the comprehensive plan is coming along, probably do another update with the Greenway plan.
Can I interject for a second?
Yes, you may.
So, two guiding documents for when the village board of trustees or the planning board or even the zoning board of appeals get together are the comprehensive plan and the Greenway plan. It is my car, right? Sorry. The Greenway plan, will guide what we're all interested in here, just where parks are built, how they're maintained, when we're building more trails, and what our goals are. And the comprehensive plan is that incorporates the Greenway, but in addition covers a lot of other topics. And these two documents are really critical for when the board wants to take any given action. They need to justify what they're doing before you take a direction, you have to justify it, especially if somebody challenges it. And where you go to find your direction are these two documents. So when we are redoing the comprehensive plan right now, all of you, thank you, filled out your survey, that's how I got your information. So the comprehensive plan will be updated by first asking the residents in the village, what are you interested in? And then the governing officials taking that information in and seeing what we can do and where we can go and laying out what our objectives are for the next 10 years. And that's the comprehensive plan. And it works with the Greenway plan, which also is gonna have quite a few objectives, and then see what we've reached and then update the plans accordingly.
The comprehensive plan is required by the state, isn't it? As a municipality, do we have to have one?
No, they're not required, but they're highly recommended, and speaking from a legal standpoint.
You have to follow it.
Comprehensive plan can justify, can be used to justify a decision made by the board during a lawsuit. And it has come up once, right after we had released the comprehensive plan in 2015, there was a potential lawsuit in saying that we could not do something, but because our comprehensive plan said that was one of our long-term goals.
It's kind of this weird hybrid. It's not a law, but it guides the law. And the New York State definitely takes their comprehensive plans very seriously for municipalities. They coach you on what you need to put into them and how you need to follow them. And how you need to update them regularly, which we are, so right now, our comprehensive plan expires 2025. We're gonna take 2025, and when the new one comes out, it's gonna be 10 years, but it's gonna be 2026 to 2036. So we're not gonna rush through it, and we're gonna update it. And we're also gonna work on, and this is something that, those of you who are here tonight want to get involved in, this is gonna be a big part of it, is updating the comprehensive plan and specifically the Greenway portion of it.
So, the responsibilities, we regularly review the plan. Like when we're getting ready to update, obviously, we're going through all the sections and saying what needs to be changed, what needs to be added. Do we have any parks, new walkways? Is there a new green space area we want to include? And then we go through the whole update process. And between updates, we meet less regularly, just to kind of go over maybe some things that are happening in the village that might need to be included in a future update. The thing we've done is we've made some appendices with park listings and walkway listings, and we can update those appendices without updating the entire plan. Larry Bieri created a Google map that we have online now, that shows all of our sidewalks and our trails, and they're done in layers, so you can turn layers on and off within the Google map and see where to walk. It lists our parks, et cetera. So that's some of the things we do between. Once we decide, and we will be deciding soon, to go with a new update of the Greenway plan, obviously we will have more meetings, probably monthly, and occasionally we have to do 1-2 a month toward the end to get the details polished up and ready to go to the trustees. The other thing we do, we've been trying to, for several years, to get a Friends of Park group to kind of do an informal audit of a park. If you live close to a park and you go into the park and you see that there's something that needs to be done, if it's a minor thing, like if it's some pulling weeds or something, you could do that. But if there's a major problem, like a tree has fallen or there's an issue with parks not mown or mowed, then you can contact the DPW or the village. It doesn't matter who you contact, but eventually the DPW crew would go out and do the major work on a park. So we call it Friends of Park, just people who live nearby and they want to kind of keep an eye on it. If there's, if there's trash, if you're willing to pick it up, but just kind of an overseer of the park.
You adopt the park.
Yeah, you kind of adopt it, but it's an informal thing. You're not required to go there every day, every week, every month. It's just if you're in the park and you see something, and like if you see something, say something.
Like illegal use or somebody, doing something nefarious in the park.
Right, that too, obviously.
Dangerous situation.
Danger,
Yeah,
something that's dangerous,
So we do that too. I'm just gonna let me back in, Carol.
We don't have park staff, we just
There you go.
have parks.
They let you right back in.
our park staff is pretty much the DPW crew.
And they can't be everywhere at once.
They do a wonderful job, but there are times when they get really crunched and they can't do everything, so, but they will plan it. But if there's a safety issue, they take care of those for sure. Required to do that by law.
Do we have any formal groups that have formed around any? We haven't yet.
Well, that's one of the things that we wanted to talk about tonight, because at one point there was a Friends of the Lansing Village Parks, but there's not currently. Right now, all of those committees that I listed on the survey are falling under the Greenway Committee.
Right.
There was once a separate Landscape Committee, there was a separate Friends of the Parks Committee, and there's currently a separate Town Trails Committee, which there still will be. But
Did you have a little neighborhood group in Shannon Park?
Susan, was there ever a neighborhood Shannon Park?
No,
Friends?
there never was. There never was.
Okay.
We always had a listserv that I did for about 15 years. I think that was before you came, Carolyn.
No,
But-
you were doing it, you were doing it.
We don't have we've had for a few years, we had that watering the pond down at the bottom of Shannon Park, and but that now has filled in and has become a natural
That's gonna be dredged very soon. I actually just asked John when that's gonna happen.
Again, huh?
Red Wings were going to be very upset.
Happy.
Plenty.
The Red Wings.
The Red Wing, black.
Oh, that is gonna be dredged, though.
There'll be plenty.
Okay.
Yeah, the dredging is required by the DEC intermittently to get it cleared out, because if it's too full of growth, it's not forming as it should.
It will.
So,
It needs maintenance.
yeah, it's actually a formal stormwater retention pond.
Right,
so
right.
It has to be able to hold water.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, it doesn't hold much now, so that's good.
It drains into a creek that runs under my driveway, so I'm very
You're very
familiar
aware.
when it's like overwhelmed.
Yeah, we'll have to monitor it with that if it changes.
Oh, I have a whole lot of data.
Yeah, you will let us know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
Change can redirect water and volume, so,
Yeah.
And everybody lives downstream.
yeah, unfortunately.
Everybody.
Yeah.
We all live downstream.
A final responsibility we have, and this happens occasionally, it's not always, but there might be a development, it can be as small as a residence, but it's usually a multi-building, multi-residential development, and the planning board will ask the Greenway Committee for our input into what type of landscaping we would like to see associated with it. Usually there's a percentage of the land that should be set aside for green space, or what some call forever wild, and we try to negotiate where that would be, where it would be most beneficial to all of the surrounding neighborhoods, along with the people who would be living in the development. So we do that occasionally, but that's more rare. So currently, we are working, as we've already stated, on updates to the comprehensive plan. Carolyn is leading that, and her surveys are beginning for that update. And Carolyn is also our liaison with the Town of Lansing Trails Working Group. They're looking at trail systems in the town, but at the same time, we're looking at doing an intermunicipal project with them between the town and the village to have a connecting trail. We are trying to determine the best possible path and how many easements we might need to get to obtain before we can build the trail. And then at some point, we would probably apply for an intermunicipal grant from the state and to help pay for that. So Carolyn has been working on that for several months now, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a decade. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
long
it's-
project, but they meet every 2 weeks, though. They're trying to really move fast, but it's not going to, I mean, it's gonna move as fast as they're actively trying to get planning documents professionally done. Right now, they have a grant for a planning document just to get from the school to Myers Park, which is hopefully the easiest.
Crossing a very busy highway. Yeah. Or are they going under?
No, no cross. It's not that, it's crossing the railroad tracks. I think it adds a lot of expense to it. But that's the lowest hanging fruit in terms of easements. They own the land or they can get the land. And then they want to get also, I mean, they want to get to the mall, which is why we're involved. And it would be fantastic.
Yeah. So those are the two current actions that we're working on. And then kind of a subcurrent is that we're probably looking at an upgrade or an update to the Greenway plan. So that would have to happen probably in the next year.
Do you think? Because it's 2022.
Yeah, it just
hope we can
depends.
at least get 5 years out of it.
It depends, and this is part of it, so we're sort of having a working meeting and an informational meeting. So I would think that with the comprehensive plan, if there's some major things in there that might impact the Greenway, it could drive an update. That's what happened the last time. It might not this time, but it's possible. So our schedule currently, it depends upon, like I said, if we're working a current update, we're going to have meetings more often, or if there's a lot of activity with projects within the village that might impact what we need to update our appendices, our maps and so forth. We meet on the fourth Thursday of every month, but not every month, of the month, but not every month. It just depends on work to be done between meetings and criticality of the upcoming meeting.
And that also just works with our current group's availability.
Yeah,
It's
that's right.
subject to change. If the three of you came on board and it wasn't good for you, we could find a mutually beneficial time.
That's what we've been working with. And
Yeah.
I still have down 1:30 in the afternoon. Is that still true?
It's still true. Yeah, but that's negotiable.
That can change.
Once we get new members, we'll renegotiate the best time for everyone. And it's a hybrid meeting, just like this. We try to have where people can join. They don't have to be live in the room. It's more fun kind of to be in the room, but obviously we can pass along information through a video conference. And the slideshow that I send you, the last page, it has a link to our Greenway Committee webpage on our village website. And it's also got a link to our YouTube channel for the village. It's got our last few years of Greenway Committee meetings that we've recorded, so if you're interested. And it also has a listing of all of the minutes that we've captured and put on that site too. So the website, the Greenway Committee website has the minutes, and the videos are on YouTube. So that's pretty much everything from the slideshow. Thank you, Carolyn, that was a big help.
So when I did the survey for the comprehensive plan, I put in the question of, these are some committees that we have, would anybody be interested in? That actually really has nothing to do with the information I was seeking for the comprehensive plan. That was purely because I was reaching out to a bunch of people and I wanted to see, were there folks that wanted to contribute and could we reach them? And then we reached the four of you and about 13 other people for different things. And I think that's wonderful. And I can already tell just from our informal conversations that each of you has something really unique and different to offer the Greenway. And it wouldn't be, all 8 of us working on the same project at one time, but I can already see that each of your expertise could be really valuable. I mean, one of the things that has bothered me slightly about some of our park planning is a lack of formality and expertise, which I would really love to incorporate. Also, the stuff that you're talking about with regard to stormwater, Jeff, is like, you don't realize when you think, oh, there's local government, I'll join. All you talk about is stormwater. I mean, that is really, do you want to talk about stormwater for 3.5 hours? Join the Village of Lansing. Like, that's really what we talk about. There's nothing more important.
It is not that.
But it's crucial. And then you get here and you're like, oh my God, we didn't talk enough about stormwater because it's so important. Like, and permeable surfaces, and then also the native plants and how important that is to just maintaining, like, people just didn't realize,
Yeah.
20 years ago what they were putting in and the impact it would have. And then Susan, like, with regard to the ties that the village gets from people actively using and engaging with the parks, I mean, I just see each of the 4 of you doing something in the Greenway sphere that's currently just falls under the umbrella of this committee, but actually could either be subcommittees or it could just be Greenway, but we can bring all of that together and really work together towards all of our goals, which is walkability, green space, safe space, the native stuff is flowing the way it wants to flow, and then we're designing parks that people can engage and become healthier and happier villagers. So I'm hoping that all of you are seeing, like, maybe something starting in your mind too, about like, oh, I see that how I can contribute to this, and it would be beneficial to my neighbors and myself, so.
Yeah, if you go on the village website, the link I provide to you, the Greenway, the latest Greenway plan is there at the top of that page. It's a link, you can read through it. It's not an intensive document. You can read through it pretty quick and just kind of get an idea. And sometimes members, if they can't come to the meetings, they can help us review the document in stages and make sure that we're provide your perspective from your professional or personal interests about things that need to be changed or added. So you can even do that much. But we would appreciate anyone that joins the meetings and contributes to our conversations.
Well, one of the 2022 goals is to establish a Greenway Friends of the Park group.
Right.
It's one of our goals. Pathway creation, improved pathways, conservation.
I see the Greenway as being a really crucial aspect of village life because the village is so developed. When you tell people the village of Lansing is 3 malls and an airport and a jail and a big 4-lane highway, and they go, village, really? So I think what we do is provide space for people to be outdoors to enjoy, what's left of the wildness of the village. There still is some, although some of it burned a week ago. I just think it's more important than ever, since we're not endowed with a lot of land the way, say, the town of Ithaca is, and they can have big parks. We have sort of pocket parks, but they're super important and they get a lot of use. And as we continue to infill over time, those parks are even more important.
Right.
So, what we do, I think, as a Greenway group is really, really important for the village.
Right, great. And we still have at least one larger space that could be another park. If we choose, we were investigating a couple of years ago, putting in a fitness park with stations for fitness.
Where are you talking about?
It's
To Northwoods.
Yeah, it's right across from the Marion Hartill Park. And it's got some area in it. We're going to put a trail that would connect to a trail that runs behind
That is
apartments.
Audrey Edelman property that was given to the
Big
village.
swimming pool.
Yeah, the pool got filled in. For some reason, they couldn't sell that land, or they decided not to, and they gave it to the village.
Yeah, it's a nice little location for a different type of park.
Great.
The Marion Hartill is our flagship park, so to speak, and it's fairly large, but it's designed more for sports and children's playgrounds and trails. But we could do something like a fitness park across the road, more adult focused, and connected. It would have a trail that would connect it in behind East Point Apartments, and therefore the apartment dwellers there could come into that park and over to the Marion Hartill. So we still have that to do. But yeah, as Lynn said, the important thing for the Greenway Committee is to protect and manage our parks and our greenways and our trails. Our sidewalks are not necessarily green, but at least they help move people, that people can walk.
And get them out of the road.
Green space. So anyway, yeah,
We also have at least the possibility of getting easements, like on John's land, to put quite a bit of walking paths.
Oh, John
Dennis's
yeah.
land between north of Shannon Park and south of Oak Crest. The whole interior, his wife purchased. I think it's in her name.
Yeah, Mifon.
Yeah. And they want to make a conservation easement on it. And John's mowed paths through it already. It's a nice walking place. What we need is to get through to Shannon Park. That's really the big.
Yeah, it's too bad, we have a path between Wedgewood and Beckett, but not between
Yeah.
Wedgewood
You'd have to
and
cross a
Crest.
stream, wouldn't you? You'd have to build a little
There's a
bridge.
bridge on the stream.
Oh, there
already.
is a bridge.
But the house in your neighborhood with the big house with the swimming pool, and they own 2 lots, they have
Yeah.
another lot that has a pump house or something on it. And it's a narrow lot. It goes just right there, perfect place, right at the end of one of John's trails. All we need is an easement, if they don't mind. You know, a person's with a big house like that, I don't know how friendly they are about people walking.
You never know.
But they have a lot of space already.
Are you friendly with the Frenches, Susan?
Not that much. I was friendlier with the former residents, so I don't know how they would feel about it, but they're not outside very much, so maybe they would.
And right along the fence line would be a perfect link.
I've never met them.
I don't know them.
Yeah, I know them. I know them. And, actually, that's Natalie, the attorney.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Natalie French's.
No, it's her, they're her.
I didn't make
I
that.
didn't make a connection. Oh my God.
Small town,
Small town. She lives here. Natalie.
yeah.
That's right.
Natalie is our village attorney.
She's our village attorney.
It's in the bag.
She's a daughter-in-law,
Oh, I see.
Great.
Daughter-in-law. Yeah, daughter-in-law.
Very fortunate.
yeah. But yeah, Natalie's a great asset also. She also makes the village meetings. She's quick and informative.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good team here, which is why it's really fruitful to work with the government.
Right. While we're just talking about trails, I'm talking to the people who are attending tonight as potential members. Every trail that we create or sidewalk, our DPW crew plows that in the winter. All of the trails, if it's our trail, we plow it. So we have to be careful adding too many too quick, because there are certain days in the winter, I think they might not be able to get all the trails, but they do now. I don't think they skip any.
We always have no winter maintenance type trails like the.
That's hard though,
Yeah, it is hard. And we're very fortunate. I mean, Carolyn said it, and I can't impress what a great village government you have as far as staff. Our DPW crew they are very committed, and when the trails are there, they know they've got to plow them, they'll just schedule it in there, so. But that would add, I think maybe another mile or so of trails, so we would have to be sure.
Yeah, that would
give them a heads up.
It's a lot.
But certainly Cornell has many trails, and on campus, a little off campus, that they put a big sign and post it saying this is closed, because we can't maintain it in the winter.
Yeah.
That would be great if our problem was we have too many trails, so we can't plow them all in a day. We have to have the winter maintenance signs. I'll take that. That sounds like a plan. I think we've got that issue.
But every time we add a sidewalk,
Yep.
Yeah.
another maintenance issue, and it's
That's very different than a lot of municipalities that make it the owner's responsibility,
Yes.
like the city.
almost everywhere.
Yeah.
Like literally everywhere else, except for here. We're the only ones who plow the sidewalk.
So I'm confused because I thought I heard Larry ask about non-maintenance paths, and I thought I heard Ronnie say, no, we don't really want to go there.
Right.
Now it sounds like we could, because one of the things I was going to ask is if you did a seasonal non-plowed path, you wouldn't have to pave it. And you would retain your permeable land, and you wouldn't get into a situation of adding maintenance or cost. But is that not allowed?
It's allowed.
It's allowed, but the problem is the potential for accidents to happen on a trail that's not managed. And if you just plow it, you have to find a way of keeping it clear. And one of the fastest ways to keep it clear is to pave it. It reduces the village's liability. If it is a municipally, quote, managed trail, we are responsible for making it safe.
accessible.
Jeff, this issue comes up every time we have a big development and they're required to put trails through their property. Is it gonna be like crushed stone, like black diamond, or is it gonna be paved? And the village has gone many times, almost every time, or perhaps every time, in the direction of paved. And when I first came on board, asked the same question. I was like, why does everything have to be paved? It's not permeable. Yes, there's more maintenance, but our current DPW strongly favors the paved trails, and it's working for them as a system. But I could definitely foresee that not always being the case.
Right.
The trail, if the town of Lansing Trail comes to Ithaca, that's a multi-use trail, and it's designed for bicycles as well, so that would be a paved trail. But there's plenty of trails that are very functional all around Tompkins County that are not paved trails. And it's definitely something that we talk about often with regard to each specific project. And so far, I think they're always paved, despite folks
Because
thinking.
Susan brings up a good point. A lot of people post their trails and say that, yeah, we don't do winter maintenance. Hey, the state parks are wonderful places to go for a walk. They're not paved.
Yeah.
I mean, I just worry about sort of overdeveloping the last few wilderness areas by putting a slab of asphalt through it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that if we did not pave it, we would probably have to use something like crushed stone. And then at that point, the DPW crew would not be plowing it in the winter. And we would have to post it, that it would be closed for the winter.
I think that's fine.
Use it your own, yeah, it probably is. And for this.
That's a
new-
legal waiver of liability, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And you don't have to really close it, right? You just say, you use it at your own risk. Yeah.
So this is the kind of thing that we would address in both the comprehensive plan and the Greenway plan as a direction. So as a committee, we would, because when we do upgrade the comprehensive plan, the section that is Greenway will be ultimately updated by this committee. And we think about what we've done in the last 10 years and what's working for the village and what direction do we want to go. And we would have this discussion, and maybe we're going to move towards more permeable surfaces, or maybe we're going to move towards more ADA-friendly surfaces. And, you know, we would discuss that at that time, and then we would put in the comprehensive plan what we think is appropriate, and then on a case-by-case basis, the planning board will make those considerations and determine for each project what's best for the project. And I came in at the beginning absolutely with the exact same feeling as you. And then ultimately the DPW wanted everything paved. And sometimes, like, when you have such a small staff, sometimes you have to compromise.
And they're very large people.
I don't, you know, this is being recorded, Larry.
I really think they're great.
They're strong.
Larry makes it sound like that they would enforce the strength, but no, that's not the way.
It's just through argument.
The power of persuasion.
So yes, that is definitely a very good point. It's something that I want to think about as we update these documents.
Right. It's a new possibility. And it sort of addresses my concern about putting too many trails that have to be plowed. So if we could have some that we could add, and they would be usable, and they would not have to plow.
Permeable trails. I'm going to write that down.
It might even be nice that you could actually, in a good snowfall, you could cross-country ski on that trail.
Wow, that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be
Never
nice.
been much snow.
Yeah, it would be nice.
So I'm not sure that the meeting will necessarily be called for an hour or not, but usually that's approximately what we take up each other's time in various ways, but I don't want to leave without hearing
Yeah.
from everybody.
Yeah, if anyone has questions or concerns or ideas, I mean, feel free to speak up now and let us know what you're thinking.
Just before we move on from
Okay, Larry.
these trails, a place like John's land, the private land with the trail that he's offering to the village, there must be some way he can protect himself.
I don't know that did he ever tell us that he was going to sign an easement?
No, I don't know. That's
No, I
his
didn't hear-
idea. That's his idea.
Did he say that to you?
Open to people. I don't know about an easement.
Yeah,
He's willing to have people walk on it now.
right.
That's why I mow it.
There are several ways that it can be done. It could be an easement, it could be a revocable easement. I mean, there are different models of what he could do. what he
Maybe with
could
this
choose.
family, the revocable thing might be.
Yeah, just, you know, that it's.
And then his surface is just what's mowed. There's,
I mean, we could definitely approach him about making a more formal agreement. Currently, there's no formal agreement, and I didn't hear him mention it, even though we talked to him twice about it.
We didn't quite get that far.
We weren't really talking about that. We were talking about, with John, bringing the trail from the town and what paths we would want, and he mentioned this land. Unfortunately, it's not exactly where we need it with regard to the town trail, so it would be like kind of a corollary loop. So it's something to consider that, but it might be just nice to just ask for that easement anyway, and,
eventually, I think,
Yeah.
and having
Really nice.
another great place for people to walk.
Right.
And then asking the Frenches for an easement, so then our whole neighborhood can get back there. That'd be fantastic.
The selling point that we could use is that where you're mowing these paths now, but if you give us an easement, then we will put down stone dust and keep the stone dust fresh, and you don't have to mow it anymore. It's just there, so that would help a little.
Another thing that would be an incentive to people who we seek easements from would be to say, this is the blah, blah, blah.
Naming rights.
Yeah, naming rights.
Yeah,
it's true.
yeah, that's true too. And once we would add the path, and we put it on our map and let people know that it's available, and, excuse me. So anyway, these are the types of discussions we have in almost all of our meetings. If we're not focused, right now, we're collecting information to pursue paths and updating the comprehensive plan and potentially some of the appendices or some in the Greenway plan. So we're kind of at that stage now. So are there any questions or concerns?
Yeah, so I'm curious what the members' responsibilities are, particularly to updating and editing of a document. Is this just a discussion group, or are there voting elements? Are there?
How do we run ourselves?
I think that we haven't really had to vote. We're basically, it's consensus, is the document updated enough? Do we think it's final enough to go to the trustees? The trustees are the group that would ultimately decide whether it's finished and approve it, and at that point it becomes an official version.
Will they hold a public hearing as well?
Yeah, probably a post.
So in a sense, we're an advisory committee, but we do.
Yeah, we do.
Prepare the document.
Yeah, we do. We prepare it, we write it, we polish it, and get it ready to go. There might be some minor changes from the trustees, but the members' responsibilities is to come to the meetings if possible and provide input and potentially take sections or portions of the document or documents we're working on and go out and flesh out the information, polish it a little bit, bring it back, and then we merge it into the final document.
I'm trying to remember if our very first Greenway plan, which was when Carol Klepak was, I think, on the planning board, she was a Greenway, was involved with the village. We may have had a consultant.
Well, you had design guidelines created in 2001 by Trowbridge and Wolf,
Yeah.
I have here.
So
And those, by the way, have not been updated since 2001, so, and that would be another thing that we could consider.
modern design guidelines.
It's design guidelines.
Is it design guidelines for trails and parks?
No, it's for the village.
For all
Yeah.
village zoning?
For commercial low-traffic district design guidelines is what we talk, that's the only document we have on design guidelines currently.
For the other zoning districts, there's nothing?
There's nothing except for what's in the village code, which I would not call design guidelines, but there are elements that'll impact design.
Right, there's setbacks.
Right, exactly,
building
and height,
restrictions,
yeah, and,
lot
yeah.
coverage.
Scattered throughout, yeah.
Yes, yes. I have here all the relevant things that we've ever passed, and they get increasingly more professional, which is nice. But they're definitely not comprehensive, especially as some places have had, especially with regard to design guidelines that impact all of the commercial area.
They are not that.
They're not comprehensive at all. I mean, there are places, like cute, wealthy, like Southampton or whatever, where you, like, the McDonald's has to look like a cottage, like that kind of stuff, like, we don't have anything
Grew up in a town like that.
similar to that.
Oh, well, we have architectural covenants, so if you're in Mesa, Arizona, your McDonald's looks like an adobe.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
You mentioned a requirement for new developments to have a percentage of
6% green space.
6% green space. Is that district dependent, or is that uniform throughout the village?
It's codified in the code.
That's subdivisions. It's not just.
And bring my code book.
For most developments that work within the zoned areas, it's fairly consistent. There's some negotiation about where it is, where it's located. The difference would be when we have a planned development area, which takes the development outside of the current zoning code, but it becomes a lot more detailed about what the village wants. At that point, the developer is, if they want a PDA to do something that is outside the norm for that zone, the trustees and the planning board, but ultimately the trustees, decide what can and cannot be done. And if the developer's not willing to meet the specifications from the village, it won't go through.
So is that when the Greenway Committee becomes involved with providing recommendations?
We can. Yeah. It's
Typically.
there's usually enough detail that the planning board can do it, but if they start looking at it and they say, well, we're not sure, they look at the Greenway, if there's something that we're not sure this fits what we want, so they'll come to us and ask, and we will take it off and.
With regard to each specific development,
Right.
the planning board does a lot more decisions about the trails and the build and the look and the feel than the Greenway Committee does. We're more macro and they're more micro. And they require tree plans and landscape plans and
Plans.
and lighting plans and all of that for anything, even sometimes for just one single house build, you'll have a landscape plan required.
That's right. Yeah.
And a lighting plan. A lighting plan, it depends, the formality of what they ask for depends on the scope of the project.
I'm just curious, I actually take a lot of projects through site plan review professionally, and I'm just curious, to what extent the Greenway Committee plays a role in that process.
Very minor.
Yeah, pretty minor.
And then
It's mostly the planning board.
And the Greenway plan and the comprehensive plan, do those have established overlays on zoning for if you're within a certain distance of a park, you have to connect to trailheads, or you have to provide some type of network?
Nothing that formal.
Is there sort of a trail master plan that, I apologize, I haven't read the actual document for the Greenway plan. Does it establish a master plan for parks in the village?
We don't have a trail master plan, but exactly that occurs within the planning board. Like, you're right that it actually should be codified, and even just not as a code, but like even just like as a guide in our guiding documents. Because, like, for example, there's a big development that's in the planning stages now, and we're like, well, we need the trail to go from here to here, and it was a requirement, and the planning board, of course, was on that right away, but it could have been that they weren't. So you're right, that there should be something that's more formal about how to make sure those developments but we're lucky insofar as making the village walkable and trails is a current goal of the planning board. But yeah, I can imagine a world where we have to be more specific about that.
One of the issues that has come up sort of perennially is, why didn't the village have sidewalks everywhere? Well, we can't possibly build sidewalks everywhere, so it's piecemeal. When a development comes up, sidewalks have to be there, and it's on the developer to put them in.
Yes.
So eventually we get sidewalks in the village, but
Right.
we can say where we'd like them in the best of all possible worlds, but we don't spend beyond.
Now we have a sidewalk policy that developers come in and they have to build a sidewalk unless it's waived, and that's something that we accomplished in the last 5 years.
But like, approaching it from a more like proactive standpoint, developing, say, like a plan for like, okay, we like to have sidewalks.
Right.
in these areas, like if
So we
we
changed-
developed something like that, you could use it as a basis for applying for funds from the state to do something like that, rather than just being like waiting until there's development
Right.
and then, you know, trying to connect up these piecemeal things.
Require the developers to put money in towards that fund, as opposed to requiring them to build a sidewalk that's at piecemeal. You could require them to put money aside as a percentage of the cost of building that sidewalk, and then use that as match for grant applications.
That's actually a great idea.
Yeah.
To edit our current sidewalk law to say if we're waiving it, then you have to put it into a fund,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which we
Very similar to
did
the
not.
tree conservation law.
Where were you 2 years ago when I drafted?
Or something.
Been nice. Actually, you were here. You were here.
Is there a dedicated, like, village team for trying to trace down things like grant funding?
No.
Okay, yeah,
We have
Economic
staff.
development,
yeah, because, so that's,
nothing like that.
We have,
when I was doing data.
Really?
we have a planner, zoning officer, and we have a fire inspector, and we have a mayor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, it's very, very small staff.
Historically, the government of the village has been grant averse prior to, I'd say, the last 6 or 7 years because of the fact that they always require matching, and then matching is money.
Yeah, there's a lot of creative ways, though, to do that matching.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be dollars.
I don't think that the current government is as grant averse.
Okay.
And would definitely
Yeah.
want sidewalks,
Yeah, yeah.
specifically, like, I've been dreaming of creating, so when they put the new sewer line along Kega Heights Road, we did engineer the possibility of a sidewalk, even though we didn't build it. And I've been dreaming of like a multi-group applying for a grant, like Cornell, because those joggers, and then like Kega Heights and the town and the village all coming together in some like multi-municipal grant that will put that sidewalk all the way down Kega Heights Road, which I really, really would love to see.
Yeah, same.
Well, there's some very, very expensive creeks to
Yeah.
traverse.
And some very old trees that are gonna have to come out, and, yeah, anyway.
I don't know how we're gonna get around those curvy parts of Heights Road, but that sidewalk is in my dreams, so yeah, I would love to, and we're gonna need money for that, for sure, it's gonna be crazy expensive.
Right.
Yeah,
No, that's true.
Yeah, so sidewalks is like a big one for me and for a lot of people.
The creativity you're talking about for the grants is also good because we don't have anyone on staff who could manage the grant once we receive it.
right,
So,
like,
but we would have to incorporate a grant manager
yeah, and.
along with the grant.
Yeah, and that's something you can actually often, especially with the state, you could fund the position that manages the like disbursement of the funds and the project management and all of that as part of your grant. And so, you know, there's a lot of creative ways to think about approaching entities for money.
Well, I've been looking into it quite a bit with the town build, because the town, there's a lot of anti-trail sentiment in the town, particularly because of the cost. And so we've looked to see where the money has come from, and the Dryden Rail Trail is like everyone's sort of like inspo for the town, and they got $3 million for one of their bridges, and it's just like, and they got it from TAP, which is transportation grant, and so the money can be found.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of money that ends up getting just sitting on.
Jeff, did you want to say something?
So,
Sorry to interrupt, folks, but I'm at like 3% battery power, so I am going to have to leave.
Go take a nap.
Technology related.
Is that your computer battery or your personal battery?
Oh, it's the computer battery giving me warning.
Well, Jeff, what we'll say to everybody
Nice to meet
is
you all.
Good, nice.
out to us.
Thank you for joining us,
Bye-bye.
Jeff.
Thanks, we'll see you again.
I will send you an email with the slideshow, and it will have our names on it, and if you've got questions down the road, you can contact us.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Well, it sounds to me like we've got some really creative thinking ahead of us, and some possibly really great help with thinking through, because we've always had that challenge of how do we apply for a grant. We did it with the water quality improvement programs, the WQIP things, through the Stormwater Coalition. And we got some things for the village that way. We got a rain garden at the old village office, which we're now sitting on because this building went in on top of it.
On top of it.
We got plaques for all the storm drains that said, don't, the drains to the lake, don't pour crap down here.
Yeah, right.
We had a lot of things. We got like an intermunicipal grant to map all of the outfalls in the village, and the town of Ithaca did that for us. Their engineering firm did it.
Yeah.
So there are creative
Yeah.
ways of getting things done that we don't have to do ourselves, but we did have to do match.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to come up with the money. We had to pay up front and then get reimbursed.
You can also match with labor, though, which
Yeah, you can match with labor.
We did, but it was a pain in the neck chasing that paperwork. I had to do it with Jody, and it was not fun.
Yeah, and I think
It
that's,
was not fun.
that was about the time that the village government got turned off, because it just was almost
Oh, God, it was hard.
Yeah, yeah.
But
That was all DEC.
things have changed in that time period. So, because a lot of small municipalities, they have to have someone, they have to pay for an external position to manage the green.
Yeah, and for us, I mean, we had soil and water conservation. We had Angel, working pretty much all those
yeah.
WQIP grants, yep.
Yeah.
Soil and water.
Yep. But it all came through them.
Yeah, well, I know that the New York State gets a lot of federal money that is earmarked for things that we're talking about right now. And so the state, if they don't get the municipalities applying for the money, and it sits there, then they don't get as much of a pot of money
The next time.
federally. And so the state is actually very
They want us
eager
to use it, yeah.
to dole out this money. And it's an interesting system to work under, because you've actually got your grantor who's just very, very, very eager to give you money.
Money away.
Right. And yeah, so I think just navigating some of that, that's something I've done a lot of.
this is
and
great.
I can help with that, definitely.
Yeah, that's good feedback.
Yeah.
That is definitely, that will make it easier. I think that we've got some ideas for some potential
We're looking for
projects.
landscape design expertise, but we typically contract with someone like Trowbridge and Wolf or
Right.
somebody, or TG Miller.
Minimum planning and design.
What's that? Exactly. Okay, yeah. Back when, that's the one I remember, but
Right.
it's been a while. But that's the sort of thing where grant money would be really useful.
Yeah.
So that we do a really good job of whatever it is we're doing.
Good.
Is there anything else?
So semi-monthly meetings-ish?
We've been pretty much monthly, but
Kind of as needed.
as needed, but
Yeah, like our last meeting, a formal meeting was in July.
We just met 2 weeks ago. Oh, that was the trails.
that was,
We met-
that was just that special meeting where we looked at all the maps.
We've had 2 special meetings.
Yeah,
Who, is there a chair, are you the chair of the Greenway committee?
Not
You
currently.
call-
I'm still chair, but
He needs to hand it off. He's the mayor. He's got enough,
Carolyn will be great at it. It's
he's
not
got
that-
enough hats on.
So you call a meeting when there's perceived need
Yeah.
for input
Yeah.
from the committee,
Well, we have something we can really sit down and work on.
Yeah,
We would probably be working on the comprehensive plan update next. And then as things come up with regard to the town's trail, and then just as things come up with regard to design from the planning board.
So would we be reviewing not just the Greenway plan, but also the comprehensive plan?
The comprehensive plan has a Greenway section, and the comprehensive
part.
plan is a slightly more teeth-oriented document, so we really do want to think about,
Also, there's nothing better than putting your feet on the ground and going to look at stuff.
I know I already want him to go look at all our parks and just.
Yeah, so
back.
field.
Actually, you mentioned a bunch of names of parks that I have not been to. I don't even know where they are. I'll look them up on my phone and they're not coming up, so.
Look around the map, if you look at village
map.
parks, then the park is there with all the amenities and everything.
Okay.
On the website.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
on the village map, if you click on the layer for parks and you click on the.
At our small park, pocket park, which is called Shannon Park, I got a phone call from the DPW this summer when I was on Cape Cod with my family. Where did you want that trail again, through the park? And I was like,
I'm not here.
I really do not want you to put a trail in right now because,
You're not here.
and I don't want to, I don't have the skill to say exactly where that trail should be. I do know that I want people to be brought into the park, but I don't know. So that's just kind of like the kind of situation that I want to avoid. I'd prefer that we have some expertise in planning and guiding on our trail placement, park redesigns, where we put a bench, where the steps are, where the signage goes. I know all of that brings people in. I just want to bring people into parks as much as possible and get them to be as useful for the money that we have, as useful as possible. And we don't always have all of the tools in place when we need them to be,
No, we
but
don't.
we're working towards it.
Yeah. So there is on the village website, there is a section at the bottom of the homepage that's got a lot of buttons, and one of those is village maps. If you open up that page, there is a Google map from the Greenway Committee, and that will take you to the Google map.
Okay.
That's your map, right?
That's
Larry's
If you
map.
want, we can just go around on a tour together, and you can, I can show you the parks, and you can spew your thoughts on where the benches should go. What trees, tree placements, what would contribute?
Trees.
Check my moonlighting clause.
Well, if you're a member of the Greenway Committee, isn't it just your Greenway work?
And like the whole issue with the blue spruce, how all the blue spruce has died, and, you know, we can't really plant blue spruce anymore.
Really?
Yeah, no, it got a fungus, and it, like, all of the blue spruce
Oh, no.
is either dying or dead. Like down on Cedar Lane, people had to cut down
That's too bad.
the blue spruce trees because they were all just spindly.
Cuba Heights.
So, yeah,
I feel like all my trees are dying.
well, yeah, well, we've been in a drought.
No, I don't mean fall. I don't mean fall. I mean like,
We've been in a drought, and like my plot of land has a whole bunch of sugar maple on it, and there's just been too much drought and too much heat over the last 10 years. They're all in decline. All of those trees are in decline. So we're trying to figure out, okay, we're assuming all these trees are actually gonna fall. They're all gonna start coming down, so we want trees to replace them that are native and
Yeah.
more able to
Adapted.
handle
Adapt.
coming.
I heard that the stress is, the fungus is a result of heat stress.
Probably, I mean, those are
They're mountain
native to
trees.
Colorado, and they grow in mountain stream
Yeah.
valleys up at high elevation.
High elevation, but also dry.
Well, they have their
dry
feet in the water
area,
in
like
a lot
it's,
of
they don't
places.
get the same level of humidity in the summer that we do.
No, they have dry air, but they
Yeah,
can have their
that's-
feet in the water.
right,
They
exactly.
love streams.
Yeah,
You see them, that's where they're most naturally occurring, is in the streams in Colorado.
yeah,
I got a big bill coming up this winter, getting rid of 7 of them, somewhere like this,
yeah,
dead right to the top.
yeah.
You take
So
my,
would that be another function of the Greenway Committee to maybe advise homeowners on current states of, you know, tree stress, the emerald ash borer, and other trees that they may have planted, you know, years ago, and now they're clueless as to what to plant?
that's a great idea. That's actually not something that we've really talked about formalizing. We talk about it in these informal ways. People just like spew their personal knowledge, but having more formalized planting plan
Yeah,
would be very beneficial.
On that, because I'm not an arborist, you know, and I have my opinions, which everyone knows about my opinions. But I would want
Caliper pears,
no calorie pears.
oh, calorie, sorry.
yeah,
Bad Bradford pears.
yeah, Bradford.
Oh, they're
Bradford pears.
so,
the tree law has references the expertise needed, right, about,
Does it?
tree law mentions
Yeah.
getting
Arborists.
information on, arborists.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have, it's not like an informational guide, so that would be something that would be a great idea to,
updating it fairly frequently.
I think that it has a list, but
State must have.
it would be good to have the list that we kept current seasonally.
Yeah.
Things are changing pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And
they're-
locally.
Yeah,
I mean,
and like
You don't
the,
want something from the Hudson Valley.
No.
Right here.
right, and there's
Yeah.
there's the fund to like be able to plant street side trees.
Yep.
My husband and I looked at it and.
Do it?
And we didn't do it. One of the things, because we just planted ourselves. But one of the things that we noticed was that the list included blue spruce as a viable
That's-
street
Oh, you mean
side
a
tree.
Village Street tree?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, and I was like, oh, well, that's
Oops.
not true anymore.
$100.
That
We should
program's pretty.
revisit.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Just spruce as a street tree, it's,
Not a good idea.
okay.
I mean, and I think it was used, like, I mean, it was, blue spruce was just everywhere because it was beautiful, right? But it's, yeah,
They're also famously shallow rooted, so if you put one in your front yard and it goes over, it takes your whole front yard.
Embarrassed.
Oh, yeah.
Really have no
And-
idea what a blue spruce looks like.
I'm going to have to run.
We've discussed enough.
That's a great idea, though.
If you've got further questions, you can email.
Sign up.
Really? You're signed up. Consider yourself signed up.
We can
We want you.
we can add you to our mailing list, and therefore you will start receiving notifications from our next meetings, et cetera. So,
Promise not to inundate you.
no, it's just once a month, or,
I think it'll be nice to have not so much inbox material right now.
yeah.
Kind of,
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
give me a rest.
yeah, so, yeah, we'll put you on the mail list, and then you can participate as long and as much as you can, and then if you can't make a meeting, that's fine, just let us know. And if there's something that a deliverable you're working on for us, and it's gonna be late, just say it's gonna be late, skip it to the next meeting, and that's fine too.
I'm sorry.
Cool.
Appreciate it, Jackie.
Yeah, so hopefully you guys are interested, and if you're interested in one facet over another, I mean, we're interested in bringing people in,
Yeah,
for sure, and making it work for what their availability and bandwidth is at the moment, so let us know.
Well, I'm going to run. Good night, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Very informational. All right.
Thank you. Good night.